And welcome everybody to this edition of Process Spotlight. This is our weekly update. And boy, we got a tremendous update for you today. And Doc, right before we get to that, let me just tell the folks real quickly about the God's Final Jubilee. Let me have this one over here, Mrs. Goodwin. The God's Final Jubilee. This is the original 2014. We still have a few left. They're on the website, Prophets in the Spotlight. Go on there it's a donation package. And you can't buy these in the bookstores. These books are way back in 2014. And awesome stuff. So if you'd like to help our ministry, go there and get that. We are viewer supported. And we want to thank everybody, all the givers, all the partners out there. Doc, we've made it. We've got the money for the next quarter.
You know, every time we think what's going to happen, man, how we're going to be, as I've said often, if God wants us on here, He's going to provide.
Well, I get nervous.
You get more nervous than I do.
I say, Doc, we're still several thousand off, and it seems like that last month, a lot of it comes in.
Yeah.
Because people know it's getting towards the end.
I think people are realizing it's not just important for us, but it's important for them to have a part in helping.
So we have the next 3 months of CTN covered, and we're paying radio monthly, and we're going to be making some changes with radio. We're finding out who's listening, and we've already canceled 6 stations that we didn't feel like were getting out. So we're down, and this next month we're going to make another cut. I've got a guy that's helping us with that, and I'll tell the audience more about that in a future date. We have kind of like a publicist guy that's helping
and he's helping us get on another.
Right, we're getting on another TV network that we're not talking about that yet, but it's coming. I haven't signed papers yet, but we have a deal in the works. Already got a price.
Amen.
And
we couldn't do any of it if our folks hadn't helped us.
And I pretty much have already agreed we're going on for 3 months, and then we'll see how that goes. It's in Little Rock area. It's VTN, if anybody wants to look that up, VTN. I met them in Nashville at the National Broadcasters thing there in Nashville. Met Colonel West. I met several other people there, and of course met a lot of TV and radio people. And boy, there's some big networks. One of them is $4,000 a week, the one that I talked to. And we definitely ain't ready for that. But
we're nowhere close to that.
Now, if I had $100,000 sitting here, I wouldn't put it in the bank. I'd use it, and I'd buy up 6 months of that, and because I think we're that close to the end. And I don't want the rapture to happen.
When you look around and see all that's going on, some of the things we're going to talk about today, you cannot help but believe we're at the end.
Okay, so the show coming up this Friday on CTN Television at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, CTN Christian Television Network, also right here on YouTube. So you don't have to watch it on television, but you may have a grandmother, you may have some friends that are TV people only. Tell them we're on Christian Television Network, CTN, on Friday nights at 7 p.m. They were playing us on Tuesday nights for over a year for free at 11. That was an open spot that they had. Somebody has bought that spot, so we're no longer on there. But we have some plans of doing some advertising on CTN, sending them a 30-second or a 1-minute clip. We want to try to get more people to find out, discover us, I guess. And Little Rock's going to do the same. For 2 or 3 weeks before we come on, they're going to be running ads promoting our program.
Well, they seem to be interested in what we're doing.
They are. They have been following me since 2014, 2015.
If they're still following you, man.
In fact, the lady...
they've either swallowed it or they like it.
Yeah, the girl that I talked to, Susan, is it Susan? Susan. She said that she actually called me several years ago and wanted to know if I wanted to start a TV program. And I think I laughed at her, but and here we are.
If you'd asked me a year and a half ago, I'd have laughed too.
So she had tried to get me some time ago. I didn't. I mean, that was back. Maybe I was on the radio back then, but I wasn't ready for television. And we didn't.
I'm not sure we're ready now.
Well, I keep telling them, but we don't know what we're doing anyway. But
amen.
Now let's go ahead and jump into this, because this is part of next week's show. Next week's show is going to be titled "The Coming One World Order," not the "I wonder if it's coming." The coming One World Order. It's almost here now. Most of the facets of it are already in place. Yes. There's one main thing, Doc, that I think causes this, other than a one world leader, because you can have a one world order maybe without having just one guy in charge, because you could have
that's what they had in Nimrod's world. They had that all, and then got him a leader.
Yeah.
Same.
And that'll happen.
Scenario.
That I think that one world order will be in place already when the Lord takes us out of here.
Yep. And then the man will be ready to step in.
And he'll be crowned by that one world order that's already in place. You ever wonder who crowns this guy? Somebody crowns it. It's got to be something already in place.
Somebody that's already in place, somebody that already seems to have an authoritarian structure that has the authority to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what, if you study Genesis chapter 11, you realize it's all about we the people. Let us, let us, let us.
Yeah.
And then you're mentioning Nimrod.
Yeah. And, but the one controlling facet of the one world order is the money. He who controls the money controls the network.
You got it.
And did we see that in Canada with what happened? And I know there's code words. We got to be careful. We already had one show took off.
Yep.
Show number update 88 got took off by YouTube. So
it's your fault.
It was a rough show.
You got to preaching, and so there we go.
It was a rough show. I think it's the one where I even said my wife was up there trying to settle me down. I don't know, but I don't know if that was the one or not.
I'm sure it was.
So we can get by with anything on television. They don't censor us there, but
we're paying
YouTube,
for that.
Yeah, we're paying for that. Yeah. So anyway, the guy who controls we saw that in Canada with that protest up there. They cut off the people's bank account, called them terrorists, called them Nazis, which was nothing but a lie. And they cut off their money. They cut off the GoFundMe thing, all that. So if we haven't learned anything by now, this is how they can control. They can shut you down. They can control you.
Well, let me tell you how it's working to help you with this. Just found out 2 days ago, one of our missionaries that we support had to come home from Russia. They've been over there, 10, 12 years. All the way over by Siberia. They were not afraid. They've been there long, well established. But they had to come off the field because they could not get their support.
Yeah.
Because it's an American money, and when they went to the bank, they couldn't get their support money. They couldn't stay because they couldn't get any funds.
And I'll bet that was America that did, not Russia.
It's because of the sanctions.
Yeah.
That shows you when you control the money, you control what people can or cannot do.
Yeah.
So they've had to come off the mission field because of it.
So with that in mind, let's share a little bit about some of this is going to be in the show that's coming up, but let me and I haven't even shared this with you yet, Doc. Actually, my son Ezekiel sent this to me. And I looked at the first page of it and said, wow, that's pretty interesting. But then last night I went ahead and printed it off and read it all. I got marks all through here. This is unbelievable. And let me go ahead and say this. I do not know who this guy is. The author of this is a guy named N.S. Lyons. I don't know who he is. March 22nd, 2022 is the date of this article. This is from the City Journal, and it's called CBDC Caution. At first, I thought it was marijuana.
I saw that title and clicked by because that's what I thought it was about.
I might have sent this to you. I don't know if I did or not. But, CBDC does not mean, it's not talking about medical marijuana.
That's what
In fact, I wrote it out here because it's hard to keep in my head. It's central bank digital currency.
Wow.
That's what CBDC is.
I'll keep looking out for that.
You know, our government is nothing but little letters.
Yes,
FDA,
everything's an acronym.
Everything is little initials for everything now.
Acronyms, yeah.
And let me just read some of this. And folks, as you listen to this, you think about the New World Order coming. You think about the tribulation period. Think about the Antichrist and especially the mark of the beast technology and what the mark of the beast is actually going to do during the tribulation. All right, so let me read some of this. Few likely paid much attention when on March the 9th, President so-called Biden, now he didn't say that, I'm adding that, but anyway, President Biden signed an executive order directing the government to begin developing a central bank digital currency. There's your CBDC written out there. And he's got that in parentheses. To be issued by the Federal Reserve. Now, by the way, it doesn't say to be issued after Congress approves it.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if Congress has to approve it or not.
Most people don't know that the Federal Reserve's outside.
That's right. So it sounds like this is a deal being made between the Federal Reserve.
It's an executive order.
And they're going to mess with our money without any input from Congress. I mean, I don't know. So, do we have any faith in Congress? What has Congress done lately that's been anything worth telling our grandchildren about, except robbing their money?
That's it.
Alongside a framework to regulate private cryptocurrencies. And
we knew it was coming. It has to come.
Yeah. So at the same time, he's working on a way to somehow regulate the cryptocurrency market. Now, there's no way to regulate it. The only thing he can do is require people to report it, have a system of reporting.
He's just the president.
Or he could make it out.
He's the president of America.
He could make it illegal.
But how could he control all that? It has to be that one.
Now, he could
order.
make it illegal to trade cryptocurrencies.
True.
Now, people could still do it under them wallets and all that, but it would be illegal, and if you're caught, you could face prison. Now, I don't know if that's what's coming or not, but as the term implies, CDC is digital money that a central bank issues directly. You might assume that you are already using digital currency, and a lot of it is digital, regularly if you rarely use physical cash anymore, and instead buy almost everything with a credit card or a digital payment app. In truth, the process of moving money from A to B is more complicated than that. It involves a tangle of payment processors, banks, financial clearing houses, and if your money is crossing borders, like Canada, Russia, Mexico, wherever, or China, there's this thing called SWIFT. Now, we've heard about SWIFT for the last month or two because of Canada and Russia. Most people have never heard that term. That's something to do with how to change monies from dollars to rubles or the yuan in China or pesos. This is a system that deals with worldwide international banking. The money itself doesn't move anywhere fast, so each intermediary institution must assume risk to fulfill. All right, so a CBD system would be radically simplified. A customer would open an account directly with a country's central bank. For instance, if you're in America, you'd get a federal thing. And the central bank would issue or create digital money in the account.
Yep.
Now, how this is going to work to start, I'm guessing they're going to have us transfer physical money, but we don't know this. And
who knows what they...
I've always said that there'd be so many months to turn in your money, and if you don't turn it in time, it's worth nothing.
There has to be something of that nature of a transition time.
Or are they just going to wipe out the world debt and start over and give everybody an equal amount of money? Well, that's a possibility too.
At the rate they're going to try to eliminate some of the population, that might not be as complicated as it would be at the moment.
So, this makes the money a direct liability of the Fed rather than a private bank. It cuts out the private banks. Using a simple smartphone app or other tools, the customer can then initiate direct transactions between federal accounts. A digital money is deleted in one account and recreated in another. For instance, if I bought something from China, it's deleted from mine and it's added to that one.
Just that simple.
Just like a bank account would do.
And we think that's what happens now, but we don't realize it goes through all of those other zones. Yes.
So this is going to cut out some people who make money off the transactions.
Well, they've always, the whole goal of one world order is to get fewer in charge And this is going to do it.
So, moving money across borders will no longer require something as complex as SWIFT, that thing that does the worldwide financial wire transfers. A bit like Bitcoin, but exquisitely, and don't miss this, centralized rather than distributed. In other words, Bitcoin is decentralized.
Right.
Nobody owns it. Nobody oversees it. Nobody can add money to it or take money out. It's all a system where the centralized bank is kind of like the Federal Reserve. Yep. They can print money out of thin air. They can control stuff. Now listen to this. Now it really gets deep here. Such a system technically no longer needs a middleman like a bank or a credit card company. The Fed retains complete oversight, I circled that, oversight and control over the creation, destruction, and movement of money.
The distribution of it, yes.
Creation, destruction, and movement of money, no matter where it is, held or who has it. As Augustin Carstens, general manager of the Bank of International Settlements, put it in the 2020 summit of the International Money Fund, or Monetary Fund, and I quote here from him, "We don't know who's using a $100 bill today. And we don't know who's using a $1,000 peso bill today. The key difference," and this is him quoting, I'm quoting him, "the key difference with the CBDC, or this federal digital money, is the central bank will have absolute control over the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of the bank, or these digital dollars. And also we have the technology to enforce it."
That's it.
Control and enforcement.
Technology, I've been saying all along, the God of forces in Daniel chapter 11 is technology.
Yep.
Yes.
And so what he's saying is this digital money that's going to be created, and we're going to be probably forced into, maybe slowly,
Well, you
but
won't
then
have any choice if you're going to do
if
commerce.
they do away with the paper money, you'll have to get in it or you won't have money.
You say, well, what about if you still got some gold and silver?
Well, that's for another day. This isn't mentioned in here.
Because how are you going to...
They have banned gold and silver in the past, and that could come again. They could make you turn that in.
It could easily come.
And under threat of prison.
Yeah.
And right here in free America, right? We ain't free, folks. We ain't been free for a long time.
We haven't been free since 9/11.
So what he's saying is we can't control who's using a $100 bill and where it's going, what they're buying with it.
But they want to know who is.
Under the digital system, they will know where that $100 went, who got it, what it was for.
And if you spend it buying some ammo or something by the social crediting system, they might just refuse.
So if you
might refuse that access.
If you buy drugs with it, they'll know and they can shut you down, and they'll make that out to be a good thing. Well, we can stop drug trafficking. Yeah, they can also stop your missionary from going to Russia.
Right. Yep.
And they can stop you from buying ammunition for your self-defense pistol. And they can control you this way.
And they could instantaneously, through the artificial intelligence, they could refuse the transaction.
And isn't this what the mark of the beast is all about?
That's exactly
It plugs you into his system. And he controls all the buying and selling. He oversees, and you're told what you can buy and what you can't. You obviously can't go buy Bibles. I mean,
people are already seeing this happen in China.
Yeah.
This system's already basically operating in China.
And it's mentioned in here that they're ahead of us a little bit.
Yes,
they're already
ahead
trying it. And America, and I'll get to it later, America's worried that they're going to hit it first and that they'll steal the federal, or the world, what's the word, currency. The currency of the world is the dollar. We're the standard. That could change if China beats us to this, is what they're saying. Mr. Biden said this. His order described that these research and development efforts into the potential design and deployment options of a United States CBDC is a matter of the highest urgency. Now, the Mexico border isn't a high urgency.
No.
But this is a high urgency with this administration.
Yeah, because America is about to lose the dominance of the world.
And I'm going
Dollar.
to skip some of this.
Got to save some for the show.
The author of this article says, since cash has been working at least fairly well for a few thousand years, what's going on here? Why the urgency?
Yep.
And he says the answer lies largely in foreign policy. The orders to keeping the dollar as the world currency.
Yeah.
China is working on this, and if they get ahead of us,
Yep.
The SWIFT network is mentioning China has pioneered a development of this CBDC and even begun putting it into limited circulation, testing it across border functionality. This has prompted the sense of urgency here with America.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to skip some of this. Programmability. I can't even, that's a tough word to say. The central banks may not yet have fully considered their inherent programmability. In other words, they can program this thing. When word first arrived that the People's Bank of China has tested expiration dates to encourage users to spend it quickly. In other words, they're given money, but you only got so many days to spend that money.
Yeah.
Or it's taken off your card or off your bank system. Yep. And eventually we know it'll be a chip that's in our body. We know that that's coming at least by the middle of the tribulation.
Yes, sir.
And that's for times when the economy needs a jump start. They give you some money, but you only got so many. And they might say you can only spend it at these locations.
Amazon.
Walmart. Yeah. And, In
other words, this system's
people who are politically correct.
going to put mom and pops completely out of business.
Which COVID almost did already.
Yes, that's right.
The Fed could directly subtract taxes from you instantaneously without you filling out even a tax form. They could subtract taxes, fees in real time. With every transaction or every paycheck you get, they could automatically withdraw the fees and taxes. That would end tax evasion. And the Fed would have a complete record of every transaction made by every single person in the system. And
you're just talking about the one they're devising for America.
Yeah.
Every country's working on this thing.
And we know that eventually it'll be a worldwide global thing, and that's their goal.
That's their goal.
And then when the Antichrist comes on the scene, he'll be the head of that system.
You could have everything in place, but if you don't have total control of the finances,
listen to this. The progressive dream of prison abolition has proved challenging, but the CBDC, or this digital dollar, could help just geofence the location within which a paroled person's money can be used. Otherwise, it disappears. In other words, if he goes outside this perimeter, his money that's in his card or his bank or in his chip,
whatever,
would disappear.
Yeah.
So they say, all right, you can't go, you're on parole, you can't go outside these boundaries. If you do, your money will be gone off your card, and you don't get it back. What a deterrent that would be.
They have all kinds of positive things that sounds good.
That's right.
But the underlying thing is control.
That's right. They're going to control everybody, control what you do, what you see, where you go, what you buy. Let's see. Should people be encouraged to eat foods decided that are best for them? Yeah. I mean, there's certain foods that make you...
If you went to McDonald's to order your Big Mac, it won't let you get it.
They might say, well, that's not healthy for you. We're not going to allow you to buy that with your card.
Your health and this? No.
Now, who out there thinks that that the government wouldn't abuse this? Have you been awake for the last 2 or 3 years? Of course they would. That's the plan. Should people be limited in how much they can spend per week on carbon-intensive purchases? How much gas will be allowed to spend?
I wouldn't get to go this week to Pennsylvania and preach. I wouldn't have enough gas.
Yeah.
No, they got this thing figured out.
The government may not focus only on individuals, but preferential treatment would go to companies meeting environmental, social, governance goals.
Oh, yes.
Those green companies would get more liberty with their finances. Undesirable organizations and businesses, why not collect additional fees for transactions with risky businesses?
Oh.
and talk about deciding which business makes it and which doesn't.
Everybody, yeah.
All this would require that cash be phased out. I've skipped a lot here. Cash has to be phased out for this to work. But many central bank reports explicitly pose that as a possibility or even inevitably. Such a future would mean little limit on the possibilities of this digital currency. The single greatest expansion of total terror, they could represent, the CBDC, would represent the single greatest expansion of totalitarian, I can't say that word either.
Totalitarian.
There, thank you. Power in history.
Yep.
Government power. Never has there been any regime with such omnipotent insight into the control over its people's every transaction as what CBDCs may soon make possible.
Yep.
And yet, this is the technology that seems likely to soon be smuggled into use in our societies in the name of convenience, social justice, and patriotism.
Yep.
Quite an article there,
But it's the truth.
I don't know if this guy's even a Bible believer.
This is where it's headed.
But this is right out of the
surely,
Bible.
yes,
And
surely.
this is where this is all heading.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the global system, the global one world order that's coming. And goodness, we've almost made a whole show out of this
They've
update.
Yep. But
So-
it's coming. That's the only way to rule. But what you're talking about just the ruling of America. Can you imagine? It talks about the single most totalitarian move in the world. It'll pale in comparison to the whole global system that'll soon follow it.
Yeah, and that's certainly coming. And that's what we're going to talk about in the show coming up. The next video that'll be here will be show number 90, episode 90, and we're going to talk about the coming global world system. And they got a couple of clips we're going to have in there. I don't know if I've told you about them or not. We got a couple of clips from some presidents, past and present, that have mentioned globalism and the one world order. And we're going to play them for you. All right. Well, we'll let it go for there. I hope, folks, that you know Jesus as your Savior. I hope you're born again, because we are at the end of this. The Lord is coming soon. Keep your eyes on them skies.